You're listening to NFRN The Drive, your place for NFRN, NASCAR, and motorsport news. Well, hello again, everybody. Colin Denton here, and we're excited to have you on board for a live edition of NFRN The Drive. We're going to get into some live... excuse me. We got some feedback going through my ears right now. Let's turn that down. We have the Xfinity race going on right now. It is getting started. The drivers are rolling off, and we're definitely going to be talking about that a lot. Of course, we're also going to have some championship predictions coming from some of our NFRN drivers. Hopefully, they'll be on here later in the show. We'll have them scattered out throughout the race as the Xfinity race is going on. And there's definitely some big things to talk about. There has been championship weekend, Truck Series going to Christopher Bell, and a big win for Chase Briscoe, his first ever win in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, in general, in the NASCAR Touring Series. And today we're getting to the Xfinity Series, and we got the big championship for coming tomorrow, Sunday night. We will turn up the sound. Fortunately, we can't show you any of the screen. Copyright issues there. But we will try to get you the audio as much as we can. And, of course, note that the stream will probably be a little bit behind compared to the actual race. That is just a matter of what YouTube does. Okay. Let's see. I do apologize. I'm a little bit off of my schedule, so I'm running a bit behind. So I am trying to do some things on the fly. Oops. Okay. And that's what happens when things go on the fly. You go black. While we do wait for the rest of the cars to roll around, they are lining up. Let's take a look at the truck standings, or rather the truck, how the trucks finished up last night. We'll pull that up, and there we go. Chase Briscoe on top, but Christopher Bell was ultimately the one to come out with the win in the championship, beating out Johnny Sauter by one spot. Also, Austin Cindric, Matt Crafton, they're in 5th and 6th place. They were very close as well, but unfortunately, they're not going to be the ones to be able to get it done. Christopher Bell, second time in the championship under this format. He is your championship winner in the Truck Series. And now we have Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, William Byron, and Daniel Hamrick all competing for what would be any of their first titles in any of the top 3 touring series. And as we are getting close to time, you'll also want to take note of the Xfinity starting grid. We'll pull that up real quick. Tyler Reddick able to get onto the pole. Cole Custer knocked out just last week at Phoenix. Hard racing with Daniel Hamrick. Hamrick was able to pull off a clean move, and Christopher Bell was also someone who was able to pass both of those drivers. He starts in 3rd place. You'll see that all of the championship 4 are in this top 20. They're all starting on the outside line. Hamrick in 4th, Byron in 6th. Elliott Sadler, Justin Allgaier did not make it past the second round. They start in 14th and 16th, respectively. And that is your starting grid for today's race. 45, and 110 laps is the stages for today's race. And we will see if Junior Motorsports is able to pull it off and able to beat out Daniel Hamrick, who will try to represent Richard Childress Racing. Now, we do have some other news in the NASCAR world to get to. to replace what we didn't have in our daily drive today. Unfortunately, those graphics don't appear to be working with OBS, so we will try to tell you them on the fly. Unfortunately, we just will not have the graphics to complement them. We'll start off with Danica Patrick announcing yesterday in a press conference that she will not be returning to full-time racing next season, as her ride is being given to Eric Almirola at the number 10 in Stewart-Haas Racing. That was already announced earlier on, but Danica announcing yesterday that she will not be full-time racing in 2018. What she does expect to do, though, is run in the Daytona 500 and Indy 500. No confirmation on who that team is. Chip Ganassi confirmed that he had been in talks with Danica, but did not confirm that that would be a ride that would be given to her. Team Penske's Twitter kind of gave a cryptic message, but they did reply with two other people on Twitter that they are not necessarily signing her. Possibly an awkward wording there on their part. RCR, Richard Childress Racing, is deciding that they are cutting back their Xfinity program. They currently have 5 cars running technically full-time, although 4 of them are Xfinity regulars and a 5th one for Cup drivers running part-time. They're cutting that back to 3. We know Brandon Jones is leaving to go to Joe Gibbs Racing, and Matt Tifft is entering, and he's driving the number 2. Daniel Hamrick is re-signed, and they expect that there's going to be a 3rd car that would be run by Cup regulars. So that would mean that Brennan Gaughan could be a free agent at the end of this year, although he could possibly return in the car that would be running part-time, and he will run with Beard Motorsports in the number 75 next year at all 4 restricted plate races. And we are green flag on the Xfinity race, with Cole Custer off to a nice start. But Tyler Reddick on the outside looking to keep his ground. Reddick already a winner this season, despite running part-time, although be it majority of the races for the season, he was able to grab a victory. Cole Custer is still looking for his first. And some additional news. Add this to Xfinity news. This is Kaz Grala. JGL Racing is picking him up as a full-time driver in 2018 to move up to the Xfinity Series. Sponsorship and number is unknown. And you'll remember that JGL dropped Dakota Armstrong just after the start of the playoffs, which Armstrong missed. Missed payments from Winfield was part of that reasoning. JGL will also make a switch to the Ford program, which means that they will be in an alliance with Roush Fenway Racing rather than Joe Gibbs Racing. And so they'll see if they can make an improvement on that. Looks like Ryan Reed has a start violation. Unsure on that, not necessarily listening to the race that much, although I should be. Ryan Reed was knocked out last week also, one of those round of 8 drivers. And final news that we plan to share today, 5-year deal with Goodyear was announced today. They are going to be NASCAR's sole tire supplier for the top 3 National Touring Series through 2022. And those talks have been going on for a while. It had been a little bit. People were thinking that it was a bit late for them to make that agreement, but it is official now. And I'm sure NASCAR would love to move on to trying to get confirmation that Monster Energy will be signing back on as a title sponsor. We know that their contract necessarily runs until through 2018, but if they're not going to pick up their option to extend that, they're starting to see no reason to keep them on for next year anyway. And we'll see what happens with Ryan Reed. It looks like Scott Lagasse got extremely loose, spun his tires, and Ryan Reed kind of ducked underneath him to avoid that, but that's changing lanes, and obviously NASCAR saw that as a penalty. And also Ty Majeski making one of his few starts with Roush Fenway Racing this year in the Xfinity Series. He's doing a decent job right now. First time he's been able to run at one of these 1.5 mile tracks in one of these big series. Oh, jeez. I managed to activate Siri. At the moment, Hamrick is leading the pack of the JRM cars. Hamrick had one of those fast cars in qualifying, so if he's able to maintain his consistency into a championship title, then that would be a pretty amazing. Although William Byron, considering what happened last year in the Truck Series, he would definitely be someone who wants to get his team a win and a title for once, especially knowing that he's going to be a Cup driver at Hendrick Motorsports beginning next year. And they're definitely taking advantage of that high line. This track definitely seems to have a knack for that. Although some cars are starting to find their groove and get some grip in their tires on different lanes. We'll see how those differing strategies play out, but it did look like the high line was a big factor for the Truck Series drivers yesterday.
And Jeff, you see these turn right here as it goes off into turns 1 and 2, going to the bottom and listening to TJ Majors. His spotter talk a lot about what other cars are doing, how they're running a little bit higher, making headway.
Wishing I had a little bit of a... If I had planned a little bit further ahead, might have been able to do a little bit more NFRN talking, as we are in a bit of a hiatus. Would like to make all the Race 4 highlights come from the from when the Race 5 is able to be completed, but definitely want to give us some more content to talk about. Although we could talk about it without the graphic, as long as we can get to our things quickly. As of right now, we have 4 races ran in the Elite Cup Series, 3 in the Amateur Cup Series, and 2 in the Trucks. The next stream, whenever that may be, will be another race in the Champions League, which will involve our veteran drivers, the second of 4 races in that series, and also the 5th race of the Elite Cup Series. Both of those taking place at Riki Raceway, which is up in Canada. As Byron starts to fade a little bit, Sadler is going a little bit faster and passes his teammate Allgaier on the high lane. So it looks like he's nailed that line so far. But Hamrick is remaining consistent as Cole Custer is pulling away by a wide margin, 2.5 seconds so far over Reddick. Let's take a look at the standings, and if you'd like to pull it up on your own web browser, NASCARfan19.weebly.com. We got some surprises up in the top 10 in the standings. We've got Stuart Gradden grabbing that victory at Pikes Peak and having an amazing start. Hasn't finished any lower than 6th place so far this season. 3 of those being top 5s. He has a 34-point lead over John Arndt. Unfortunately, he was scheduled to be one of our guests on the show today, but unfortunately it sounds like he has to cut loose and do something else, so we won't be able to have him on today, although it would have been an exciting one to interview for the performance he's been having so far this season. And as mentioned, John Arndt, 2nd place in the standings right now. One of your veteran drivers still looking for a victory and hasn't cracked the top 5 so far this season, but consistency, a couple of top 10 runs, is getting him up in the runner-up spot. And given Kenny Knox winning at Mirage, being a part-time driver who can't run for the championship, that is an open playoff spot, and John Arndt currently occupies that. Julio Caesar, also a winner. He gets the win at Columbia first race of the season, his first career race. He's fading a little bit back. He was involved in a bad accident with Nick Smith at Pigs Cliff. But he's still having a decent run so far. Third place in the standings, nothing to scoff at. Adam Mundinger was able to grab a top 5 at Columbia as well. Your Season 1 champion, Rampage, running in 5th place right behind him. And of course, we've mentioned it before in broadcast, but the struggles that some of these veterans are having is just pretty incredible. You got Stephen Willie, who won the first race of the season last year, now running 41st in standings, which includes the part-time drivers. Tyler Markell, he was pretty mid-pack. He missed the playoffs, but he's running 35th, and that's not that great either. Johnny Gardner in 32nd, who was a winner as well during the playoff 10 races, although he was not in at that point and didn't necessarily make a difference for him in that state. And Noah Carr's 29th place in standings, while he was able to grab a victory at Columbia during the Clash. So definitely some big surprises for how competitive the veterans are being. Of course, some of that is attributed to bad luck. A lot of accidents taking place at tracks, much longer tracks. We've been to 2 super speedways and 2 shorter tracks. You could call Pikes Peak a slightly longer track, but Mirage is definitely one of those shorter racetracks, although it was a lot different in the case that it almost served as a road course in its short confines. But race 5, it's technically, you could call it another super speedway, so we've got a lot of those to start off the season. As we're back to coverage, Daniel Hamrick is starting to slide a little bit. He's back to 5th place. I think Ty Majeski's trying to make a move on him, unless that was a part-time, or a lapped car he was battling with. And we got a caution on the racetrack, and that is J.J. Yaley. So the the team that ruined Elliott Sadler's chances last year is dead. So hopefully they don't try something again. Okay, and looks like that will bring us to our first caution of the day. Looks like a rear tire cut down. And Homestead Karma bites back. Although I won't necessarily place any blame on J.J. Yaley, since he wasn't necessarily responsible. Fortunately, we don't have Cole Witt in this race today, so that's something to be excited about. And so it looks like we might be headed to some pit stops, and we'll see if we can call up one of our drivers. And we'll get them after the pit stops. All right, and looks like we don't have many takers. It might just be, that's not J.J. Yaley. He did not have a sponsor. Got a few takers, but no one that significant. None of the playoff drivers. All right, let's do a little call up right now and see what we can get. Hello, have you got me? All right, we are now talking with William Brock. He's one of our veteran drivers with the NFRN and currently running 23rd in standings as it stands right now. William, what has been some of the issues that the team has been having so far to get you guys into a competitive state?
Well, mainly because one of the things has been, we've been trying our best trying to avoid as many wrecks as we can, with all that, and so far some of that hasn't really worked out, and plus we haven't really had the best of luck this season. I would say this season's kind of been worse than what last season was. Even though we haven't had our first win last season, we still managed to get into the chase, though we didn't. I don't think we survived like the first round. So hopefully we can try and maybe get better and see if we can make it into the playoffs.
And you were a playoff contender last year, but so far, 0 career laps led. How difficult is it being one of those last guys who has yet to lead a lap so far among either the 12 that are competing this year or just in general against all the Season 1 drivers that had that opportunity to lead a lap, and so far the 23 team hasn't?
I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know if it's maybe just the engines. I don't know if the engines are doing as good as they were last season. I don't know. It may be just the manufacturer, just the crew. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we can try and resolve the issues and, like I said, maybe try and get into the playoffs.
All right. Well, looks like we're about to get back to Xfinity racing action. Let's have your quick pick for the championship in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Who do you believe will be the eventual champion, and what is your reasoning for it?
Well, I will tell you who I want to win the Monster Energy Cup Series title. I want it to be Truex. I mean, him and he's done so well this season, winning like 4 or 5 races, 6. And Furniture Row has definitely come a long way since than when they started. I think 10 or 11 years ago, and they've certainly gone from a go or go homer team into a championship team, and I can say I'm very proud of Furniture Row, and I'm really hoping Truex wins the championship.
All right, sounds great. Well, thank you for being our first driver on for today, and have a good time watching the rest of the race.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Absolutely. All right, and there is our first driver interview done. We'll hopefully have about 4 lined up for the rest of the day. And as mentioned, Brock seems to be rooting for Martin Truex Jr. 7 wins so far in 2017, 3 of them coming in the playoffs. All but one of those wins coming from a 1.5 mile track. That is Watkins Glen that he got that other victory. He's been able to get a top 5 at every playoff race so far in the playoffs, except for Talladega. Of course, that's going to be one of those crapshoots that you just cannot anticipate for. And Martin Truex Jr. did run for a championship 4 run in 2015. This format being introduced a couple of years ago. And that race, he finished 12th in the race, and that put him 4th in the points standings among the other drivers competing that year, in which Kyle Busch ended up taking the championship. And Truex is a 2-time Xfinity champion in 04 and 05. However, among the championship 4, he is the only driver who has not grabbed a title. Brad Keselowski won in 2012, Harvick in 2014, and Busch in 2015. Truex will be the one that is looking to get himself his first title and see if he can spoil everyone else's chances of grabbing their second. as we get back to green flag racing. It looks like Tyler Reddick was able to storm off, but we saw that it looks like Cole Custer had the long run speed. So if Custer can keep up there, keep the clean air, he should be able to get back to the advantage, and it could be a big day for the rookie driver driving the Stewart-Haas racing machine in its first year as an Xfinity program. I see Ryan Preece is making his way up to third place, but oh wow, Reddick right up against Cole Custer, and he's going to make the move to the inside. And if you're unable to watch right now, Hamrick still leading the JRM drivers in 6th place, but Byron in 9th, Sadler in 10th, and Allgaier in 14th. And actually, slice that, that's now Elliott Sadler jumps up to 8th, and Byron back to 10th, and Allgaier also gains another spot as well. And I was mentioning before, Ryan Preece, he's been able to make some select starts with Joe Gibbs Racing, he's been having trouble with sponsorship backing, which was a case when he was driving with JD Motorsports, Johnny Davis. And he's been able to get some backing with sponsors that have helped him out in his Welland career, and he's been a champion in that series as well. So definitely a talented driver, and now showing that after his Iowa win, he is definitely someone that can get it done. Even on these longer racetracks, now running in third place, and 8/10 of a second back against these guys, Custer and Reddick, that are still fighting it incredibly. Unbelievable they're able to keep it as close as they are. And this race looks like it's the one to watch between Custer and Reddick. So at the moment, it looks like Sadler is the one that's charging, trying to figure out. Looks like he kind of moved back. I see Gallagher was scored 9th, but now he's in front of him, so I'm not sure how that happened. But I do see Hamrick in the foreground. So Sadler is making up ground on the 21 car. As Gallagher, it feels like Gallagher is actually moving up, which is kind of amazing. It looks like he actually did. He might have moved into the top 5 possibly. But Sadler's right there on Hamrick. Number 1, we have a lot of speed right now. And now this is the race to watch. Despite it being the first stage, it's going to show a lot how well they can get this long run speed and what kind of adjustments they can make throughout the race to improve their speed. Unsure how this one's going to turn out in terms of when cautions come out, because in the truck series, I don't believe there's any cautions beyond the stages. I think the most exciting moment happened when a tire went down on Noah Gragson. He was able to save it miraculously. But beyond that, it just went green the entire way, and Christopher Bell was the one that had the most speed in the car. It seems like Ben Rhodes also lost some fuel pressure, which is why he didn't end up on the top 10. Somehow, in the last 5 laps of the race, his truck apparently ran out of fuel, even though they were expected to make it all the way, and some cars, or trucks rather, tried to play it safe and notch down their fuel usage, but not sure if there was just necessarily a problem on the 27 car, because he was not. It seemed like more of an abnormality or an anomaly, however you want to pronounce it. And it looks like we got a 3-wide battle if Sadler can get there, and looks like he's going to slip back in line behind Hamrick, but Scott Legacy Jr., who's one of those Florida natives who seems to get a ride with RCR a couple times this year, and seems to slip into all of those Florida races. To be honest, it doesn't seem like he ever races anywhere else but Florida, even though I know that fact's not true. He raced at Iowa and maybe somewhere else at one of our courses. I just make fun of it because it seems like anytime there's a Florida race, Scott Legacy's in a car for some reason. As we run right now, Harrison Rhodes and Jeff Green, the only cars that have dropped out of the race. Everyone else continues to run while they are going as fast as they can. Had a pretty big field try to enter the race. We had a total of 43 entries. I believe Austin Cindric was meant to drive number 12, and that entry got pulled early in the week. The DNQs, I believe, were Quinn Half in the 46, Matt Mills in the 55, and Morgan Shepherd in the 89. And a lot of those based on owner points rather than raw speed. I believe there is a threshold that drivers have to meet before owner points come into effect. It might be 33rd, although I might be wrong on that. And we do see right now Chad Canales is actually crew chiefing the number 7 car. I don't know if I actually reported this on an episode of NFRN, the Daily Drive, earlier in the week. They had a veteran crew chief that was planned to come in, and it seems like Chad Canales stepped in at some point. I did not see that news up until right around race time that Canales, obviously 7-time champion crew chief with Jimmy Johnson, is going to step into the role as Jason Burdett got suspended for a post-race infraction on the number 7 team at Phoenix. So that's a big way to step it up. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Allgaier's car is performing the way he wants it to be able to compete for a championship. So we did mention some of those Elite Cup Series standings. We could move on to some Amateur Cup Series standings. Next time we'll see these drivers is at Grand Detour. Of course, part-timers try to qualify for Rookie, but full-timers, we'll see them all at Grand Detour, part of Illinois. It's a short track if you haven't seen it before, and there is a big lane for racing, and it's completely different on two sides of the racetrack. In turns 1 and 2, the low side is a definite advantage, but turns 3 and 4, you might want to have that outside line. So it's going to be interesting to see how drivers are going to be able to race that track. In terms of standings, we do only have 2 veterans that ended up dropping back into this one. Colin Lindsay was kind of a surprise because of his being 2nd place in the Elite Cup Series standings and a part of the championship for last season. And right now he's only running in 18th place. So he's not having the best of days, or rather a year, so far in this series. Eric Van Arsdale, though, who was someone who barely missed being a part of the playoffs in 2016, he's running in 7th place. He's able to try to qualify for some additional Elite Cup Series races, which he has done. At the moment, he only has 1 top 10, but obviously consistent enough that he is able to be in the spot that he is. Of the 3 winners we have right now, Chris Harley currently leads the point standings. Dwayne Calloway, part of Calloway Brothers Racing, in 2nd place, and his brother is actually running all the way down in 28th, so definitely some disparity within that team. Our final winner, who is actually our first winner of the season, Donnie Moore, currently runs 5th place, part of Western Motorsports. Back to racing action. Spencer Gallagher in 3rd place. That is about as impressive of a drive as we've ever seen that GMS Chevrolet driving around for. And 5 laps to go in the stage. Hamrick continues to lead Sadler for the championship standings, but they are neck and neck at the moment. And here we go. We got Salers, the quarter panel. He's right there trying to just put some drag on his rear bumper. And he might be able to clear him here. And he gets a little loose in the corner. He has to pull it out of the gas, but he's still trying to maintain speed with him. Three to go in this stage, and Custer continues to be the leader. We'll see how this one plays out. And unfortunately, these guys don't have to race that hard because with the championship for it, those guys are not earning stage points for this race. Everyone else in the field is, but in terms of the championship for, they are running the exact same as the system that came before it without stage points. It's just a matter of who finishes in front among those final four. So even in these stages, not necessarily needing to race as hard as they are. At least in these early stages. Of course, you want to be the fastest at the end. And it looks like it's coming down to Hamrick and Sadler right now. Byron back to 13th, Allgaier to 17th. And Cole Custer is just going off to he's got a half track lead on the front two in the championship standings. And he's lucky that both Byron and Allgaier seem like they're lucky that Yaley had that spin, or else they might have been lapped at this point, given the speed that Custer has right now. But that is the end of the stage one. And we'll see who else comes across. And Gallagher gets 8 points, finishing third in that stage. Now, Legacy Jr. is up there too, as well as Priest. So some names we don't hear a lot of. Majeski as well. And Joe Nemechek gets 10th place. And Yaley pulled it back up. Man, Yaley pulled it back up to 9th. I can't even believe that. And they just need to make sure they pit when the final caution comes out. All right. We will wait for the pit stops to take place, and then we'll see if we can get on board with another one of our drivers. We're looking at some stats from the Amateur Cup Series standings. Kenny Knox, who was able to spoil a win in the Elite Cup Series, he currently runs 8th place. He actually dropped 6 spots after crashing out at Pigg's Cliff, and that was an accident that took out both the Eagle Motorsport drivers. And his teammate Chase Baldwin, pretty sure dead last in the full-timer standings, and I'm right, he's in 45th out of 47. He has 16 points accumulated over 3 races, so that would be about 5 1/3 points per race. Not so great for that 35 car driver. All right, taking a look at Twitter right now. We'll see if we can get any more information. It looks like Sadler said he was too free to complete the pass. So, extremely loose race car for Sadler right now, but fortunately he has 2 more stages left. Plenty of the race to go, which will be about 150 laps of the 200 remaining. Byron says he's a bit tight, and not much of a surprise there, considering he started up in 6th place. He's dropped back to the mid-teens at this point, so he definitely wants to see if he can recover himself a bit better. Allgaier has dropped all the way back to 19th. And talk about a good drive by Joe Nemechek in that number 01 Johnny Davis Motorsport car. Not necessarily a team that produced the best results, but Nemechek is definitely showing his veteran status. And he has been doing some start and park for his own team that runs in the Truck Series and also fields his son, John Hunter Nemechek, who was eliminated from the playoffs prematurely. But it sounds like he's getting another ride. Hamrick had the fastest stop, a full second faster than Sadler. Allgaier kind of in the middle of that. Let's see what Byron's able to do. And we got a cutaway there. But Reddick is able to get up into the top, and Custer had a bit of a slow stop. And Hamrick is going to be able to pull himself and get a gap over Sadler, and Byron's going to pull up closer to Elliott in the number 1. All right, let's take a look and see if we can get us another call for today's stream. All right, we are now joined by the driver of the number 98 in the NFRN Elite Cup Series, the other JR, making his rookie season. Currently has a top 5 and a top 10 under his belt. A best finish of 3rd place at Pikes Peak, which was a victory that his teammate Stuart Gradden took. Now, the other JR, how was your race that day, and what did you need to be able to get up to your teammate and try to contend for that victory?
Well, it was kind of tough for me to get in that spot for the first place because I haven't been really too consistent, but I feel like we just need to work harder and make sure Jag doesn't finish almost dead last again, too. I mean, we're working as a team here, and unless it's the chase, pretty much.
Absolutely, and there was a bit of an issue at Mirage where both you and Gradden made some contact in the turn, got spun around off of turn number 2. Caution did not come out from that. Did you have any conversation in the team meeting regarding that? It was pretty tight confines in there anyway.
We have a few discussions, but we usually don't look back at other events. We just move on to the next race.
And you were able to lead the first lap of the 2017 season at Columbia. What do you feel like your best type of track is? Do you think that super speedways are your best, or do you feel like you might have an advantage at a different track later on in the season?
I think my best advantage is super speedways for sure, because I don't think there's really any other type of track where I finish that good, except for maybe Pikes Peak.
All right, and so far we completed one stage of the Xfinity race, and at the moment, Hamrick looks like he's got some pretty good dominance. Sadler's trying to keep up with him now. Hamrick gaining a few spots back on pit road while Byron's starting to catch up. How do you feel about the first stage so far, and do you think that we're going to see a good finish in this one?
So far, it seems like Cole Custer and is pretty much doing what he does best, dry running up front. Hopefully he can get his first career win. Daniel Hamrick, however, I'm kind of surprised he's running better than his other 4 championship contenders.
All right, and to end off this one, how do you feel we're going to see the end of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs turn out? Who do you believe will be hoisting the trophy at the end of the night?
It's kind of a tough one because there's 2 I'm looking at, Kyle Busch and Truex. But for sure, I'm going with Truex.
All right, sounds like a good pick, and that is 2 for 2 on Truex. And the other JR, thank you for joining us for today's stream.
Thank you.
All right, so we're getting ready to go back to racing in the Xfinity Series. Stage 2 is going to start off on lap number 52, and the other JR picking Truex as our champion for the 2017 season. That is 2 for 2. You also mentioned Kyle Busch. Definitely someone else to watch out for. Has 5 wins in 2017. 3 of them coming in the playoffs. Did not win until the second Pocono race. And some people wondered if he was ever going to win any of the races. And he was able to get that one right at the very end. And he's made the championship 4 in this format twice. And won the title as a result of winning the Homestead race in 2015, and also made it last year. A 6th place finish got him 3rd in the points, and obviously Carl Edwards crashing out was going to be 4th in that one. Bit of a shame not to see Carl still racing with us here in NASCAR, but hopefully he's having some good times in retirement. Looks like Byron, he's definitely gotten by Sadler, and now he's trying to chase down Daniel Hamrick, now running 3rd place. And Hamrick was able to get by Custer, and Custer was obviously the one that's been dominant throughout the entire race. As I'm realizing I haven't turned my volume up for a while, so try and help out people that aren't able to watch live as much as they can hear. Now we got all the Championship 4 drivers running in the top 10, so it seems like any improvements they made is giving them an advantage. Both Hamrick and Byron to the bottom. Ryan Preece running in 2nd. He's been up there as well, but Reddick is currently the leader. And as Custer makes the move on Hamrick, it gives lane to Byron as well. And Byron's going to be the one to try to close the gap on Hamrick. Both of these guys, rookies in the series. Byron still quite a few years younger than Hamrick. Byron is 19 as he makes the 3-wide pass on Hamrick, and he is going to the point, at least in terms of championship stand. Still got some work to do on the race lead, and Hamrick's not letting him go either. They're still side by side, but Byron is 19. Hamrick is 26. Had a few years in the Truck Series compared to Byron's 1. Clearly something Richard Childress liked about Hamrick, as Penske's been having a bit of trouble just in terms of entering drivers to develop them. Obviously, the BKR team, Keselowski, has done a good job at putting guys in good trucks, but it doesn't seem like they were taking the great progression up the ladder. And obviously Blaney did, and he was a driver with that team and ended up with Wood Brothers, and now he's going to end up with Penske next season as a 3rd Penske car. But in the matter of 1 season, you lost both Hamrick to Richard Childress Racing and Tyler Reddick to Chip Ganassi Racing, so he had to replace both of those drivers, and they were definitely capable drivers, but with the sake of the team closing down, now you got to make a decision. What is Penske going to do in terms of driver development? Are you going to stick with your guys that you have? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, considering the age of all of the drivers. I mean, you got all of those guys, Keselowski, Logano, and now Blaney. all guys that are not going to retire for quite a while. Shull signed on for Logano and Team Penske for several years. It seems like they don't have much incentive to enter a development driver. Now, these things that NASCAR is putting in place to restrict Cup drivers from entering these Xfinity races might push them to make those kinds of moves, and they're going to have to find drivers in case they want to put cars in the series. But as far as, man, series just I rarely have Siri go off on me randomly. I've made it to it twice in this stream. And now I've lost my train of thought. But I was talking about Penske having development drivers, and yeah, not much incentive to do it if they got drivers that aren't going to retire anytime soon. You're just making them better for someone else. All right. Back looking at championship running. Byron has the edge on Hamrick by a spot. Sadler in the spot behind both of them. Allgaier is still running in 10th, but that's just a gap of that's a 6-car section that you're dealing with. Oh, Hamrick's coming to pit road. He's got battery issues. This is going to be good for JRM as a whole, but holy cow, could it not happen to a driver that needed it at any other time? That is huge. Whew. That is a big blow, as we see Custer is also taking the lead back from Reddick, and so obviously that 0-0 car is definitely someone that has speed, but it's going to come in the long run, so that's what Custer needs in case he wants to get his first victory. And it would, in a sense, it would be a shame if he does get his victory today for the sake of could have made it into the playoffs or championship for last season, or excuse me, last week, and clinched his spot for today, but that's just a matter of that's racing. That's the playoff system, and you got to be consistent. And Hamrick showed the more consistency, and it looks like his playoff hopes are in a complete crisis mode right now because their car is up on Jackson. It is not going anywhere. He has dropped 32nd place. I believe he's now 2 laps down. I saw the back of the leaderboard. At least 4 cars are off. Well, that's not going to mean much to Hamrick. He's obviously competing for this one race. And now JRM has all 3 of their cars in the top 10, but they're just going to be competing against themselves. And that's almost a guarantee that those guys are going to be the champions now. At least as a team. Now it's going to come down to who's going to be the driver. Could be a young guy, could be an old guy, or could be a guy in the middle. And Hamrick still up on the jacks. That is not good for Hamrick. There's absolutely no way I can see this team able to, if it all finish, definitely not finish on the lead lap. They're too many laps behind now. Whew, all right. Well, this is huge.
Is your personal information already being traded on the dark web?
Find out with Experian. Right now, Experian is offering a one-time dark web scan completely free. Go to Experian.com/.
We'll see if we can get someone else that we were scheduled to have on for today's interviews.
Act now to help keep your personal information safe. Get your free
People we were looking at, talking with, seems like they're not terribly active, but we'll see if we can get somebody.
It's the carving of a cheeseburger. It's a family tradition. You got a weird family. Sorry, what'd you say about my family? They're fine.
Get half-price cheeseburgers all day on November 21st. This is how you Sonic.
I'm making a call right now. We'll see if that goes through. We'll see if we can get some reaction on Hamrick's issues. And at the moment, his car's been removed from the jacks, but it's still not looking good for that 21 team. And they're back to 36th place at this point, and now they're behind guys like the BJ McLeod cars, one of the Carl Long machines, and we're now joined by Zachary Fitzwater Sr., another rookie driver in the Elite Cup Series. And I'm sure, Zachary, you've been watching this race just as I have and seen what just happened to Hamrick. How big is this for, big of a break for Junior Motorsports this is?
Oh, it's a huge break for Junior Motorsport, especially for Byron Sattler. Yeah, that sucks for Hamrick. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent rookies out there on the track, and with him having problems, and JRM can take advantage of it. So we'll see who one of the three JRM cars can win the title this time around.
All right, we're also talking with the drivers about their NFRN season, and so far, the number 9 team has not had the best of starts, despite a 14th place best finish at Pigg's Cliff. Only one lead lap finish for your Gardner racing machine. What kind of issues is the team having right now that they're looking to improve on in the future races?
Well, it's been hit or miss so far. It's been one way luck and the other way unlucky. So for the next few races, we hope we can get top 10s, all that, and to probably end our mystery of wrecks. So that's what we're thinking for not only for my team, but for my teammate as well. So, yeah.
And we've seen a lot of international domination, you can call it, with Julio Cesar, Brazilian driver who won at Colombia, Stuart Gradden, native Australia. So also where you're coming from, do you feel like having these international drivers, the first time we've seen them coming into season number 2, do you feel like hopefully you're going to find that same success at some point this season?
Yeah, I hope so. Like what Stuart and Julio did early in the season, and one of these times I can get a race win. I know I'm good at the road courses. That's my specialty, like Stuart and others. So, yeah, I hope I have some success the next few races and some luck down the road.
All right, and we see Hamrick is pulling back onto the racetrack. He is now running 36th, 11 laps down, and we'll end off this interview with Zachary. We'll end it off. Who do you believe will be the champion, hoisting the championship trophy in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series on the end of Sunday night?
Well, I really want Truex to win, but with this horrific success he had lately at Homestead, and with the other 3 have a win, my prediction, I got Kevin Harvick to win. He has the most, I want to say, most successful drivers ever had at Homestead, and with from going from Chevy to Ford, it wasn't easy to start, but ever since Sonoma has been on a roll. So my pick to win the championship tomorrow night is Kevin Harvick.
All right, and Harvick has been showing a lot of consistency as of late. So, Zachary, thank you for joining us on an edition of NFRN The Drive.
Thanks, Mike. Cheers.
All right, so Hamrick coming back on the racetrack, now 36th place, basically leaving the door open for Junior Motorsports to win this one. Now it's going to come down to who's going to be the driver. Byron in 5th, Elliott in 6th, and Allgaier in 10th. And I say Elliott, make sure that's Sadler. Make that clear, since I was the only one that I didn't say his last name on. Zachary Fitzwater going with Kevin Harvick, and he has been showing a lot of consistency as of late. As I noted, he only has 2 wins this season, which is definitely not a ton, but with his win at Texas in the playoffs and his victory at Sonoma earlier on, he can definitely try to clinch this championship, and he did so in 2014. The first time we had this playoff system, was able to win the race at Homestead and win the championship as a result, and he almost did the same back-to-back in 2015, but he came up short to Kyle Busch, and he finished second, putting him second in the points as well. Okay. And we got the 20 blowing up. Christopher Bell, yesterday winning the Truck Series Championship. That car is not looking good right now. We have 12 laps left in the stage. We'll see if this brings out a caution. Cole Custer currently with a 2 3/4 second lead over Sam Hornish Jr. in the Penske machine. And Christopher Bell is going to be a full-time driver next season in the 20 car. So exactly the team that he's running with right now. And unfortunately, that looks like a premature end to his day as he heads back to the garage. As this is a mechanical issue, he could fix it and go back on the racetrack, but definitely not winning this race today. He will be, as mentioned, he'll be a full-time driver this upcoming season with Joe Gibbs Racing. But with Kyle Busch Motorsports, won a championship last night. As noted earlier on, we'll bring back those results. And as you can see, he beat out Johnny Sauter for the championship title. Sauter was last year's champion in the Truck Series, and he came up 1 position shy this year. Austin Cindric was also a rookie looking for his first title, but in 5th place, he'll come up in 3rd, and Matt Crafton a spot behind him in 4th. Cole Custer continues to lead the field with 10 laps to go in the stage, 3 seconds over Hornish Jr. And Hornish has made a few starts in the Xfinity Series this year, especially on some of those road courses, and that's something he's excelled on, as he was a previous IndyCar driver. Dipped his toes in NASCAR for a while. Notably, he ran with Richard Penny Motorsports. I believe that was the team. I believe it was in 2015, and last year didn't get the same ride. Went to being I believe it was a substitute teacher. And then his first race back, he raced with Joe Gibbs Racing in the 18, and he was able to win at Iowa. That came in 2016. So that was a huge victory for him as a part-time driver at that point. Now he's seen what he can do as a driver in today's race. The JRM drivers are running pretty consistent to what they were when I announced them a few laps ago. 5th place for Byron, 6th place for Sadler, and 9th place for Allgaier. And Sadler's gap between Byron starting to close up once again. Of course, Stage 2, once again, I emphasize that stage points are not going to be a factor in this race for the championship for all the other drivers that are out of this contention. They can still race for their points position and earn stage points based on where they finish at in these stages. But championship will ultimately go to who has the best finishing position at the end of the race. And at this point, it seems very likely that JRM will be on top. Now, obviously, Sadler and Allgaier have been in this position before. And unfortunately, with two Joe Gibbs racing cars as their competitors in Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones, Suarez ultimately taking the championship. They had a lot of competition back then, but now with three drivers that seem like they have the lot to win at this point, it's obviously how are Sadler and Allgaier going to be able to try to beat out the rookie car and driver William Byron, who has just shown a ton of speed. As we're looking at Dale Jr., and I would imagine he's pretty calm given the circumstances. It's pretty clear that they're going to win a championship at this point. Now he's got to figure out which driver it's going to be. Oh, Sadler with a big dive down deep in the turn one. Gonna try to see. He can't slide job in front of Byron. Yeah, that was just a bit of an ill-advised move there. These guys got to save their cars. All you really got to do is make sure you got 11 laps to go before you guys start racing each other too aggressively and try to get a victory. Or at least the championship. And if we're having any doubts about who the race winner might be, Cole Custer has a 6.5 second lead at the moment. So Stewart Haas Racing has that car tuned up correctly for some good performance that unfortunately they couldn't find in, I guess, the first 32 races. So big shame that Custer couldn't pull it off, and just to think that what one of those spots have, what one of those spots could be. But I tell you what, this is eerily similar to what it looked like in 2016 with the NFRN Elite Cup Series. Zach Campbell gets knocked out by 1 point, and then he wins the next race at Hula Hoop. That's just how those circumstances go out, and seems like Cole Custer is currently in one of those situations. Of course, a whole stage left to go. It's 110 laps. Still a lot of time for something to go wrong, but those circumstances are definitely not unheard of, especially in one of these kind of playoff formats. And the JRM cars are now dealing with lap traffic as Chad Fincham, Ray Black Jr., I think one of the BG McLeod cars as well might have been Cicerella, and another half a track lead for Cole Custer over the guys in the front of the championship battle. And looks like Custer is going to be your stage 2 winner once again. We'll see what the results come through. Hornish should be in second place. Wright comes in third, and Priest is in fourth with his teammate gone behind the wall and Christopher Bell. Byron sixth and Sadler seventh. Byron fifth and Sadler sixth. Brendan Poole is in seventh. Justin Allgaier in ninth place. Ty Majeski in eighth, and Corey LaJoy up in 10th place. So JGL having a good run today. Okay, still seeing if we can get one of our drivers in here. We had 2 additional drivers to interview, and another one that pulled out early. But at this point, we're not seeing these guys online, so we'll see what we can do. If anything, we might find some extra drivers that are available. Might not have the same graphics that we had for the other guys, but anyone that might want to jump in real quick might get the opportunity. As we wait for these stage 2 pit stops to occur. Truck Series, something to look forward to as we have another race coming up. That one will come at, I've drawn a blank, Twin Ring Motegi. It will be also the Elite Cup Series' 7th race of the season. And I've got hiccups now, so excuse me for that. And last time we went to Pikes Peak for the 2nd race of the season, and Mike Simpson was able to grab the victory there and ended up jumping all the way up in the 2nd spot. That was a 15th spot jump. And Barry Watson was your first race winner at Columbia, and he continues to lead the standings. We have no veteran drivers in this series, and that means everyone's a fresh face. And further go down the standings, there's lots of names to talk about, but not necessarily anything that we can be notable about, other than anyone that might have just had some terrible luck with accidents. I mean, you look at guys like Emerson Sims, Andy Quinn, Daniel Voiles, Recency, Essentia, Roger Ray. Those guys have all had some difficulties to get their season going, with several part-timers all beating them out just to begin with in the season. But we'll see what those guys are able to pull off. All right, we're going to pit stops right now. We'll see who comes out quickest, and Hamrick not much of a conversation point at this time. Sadler off in 12.2, and Allgaier is going to be a little bit slower. In fact, a lot slower. They got some big problems on that 7 car, and that car they've been having troubles the whole time, but that was a long pit stop for that 7 crew. Custer continues to dominate, and he'll lead the race off of pit road. It's going to be tight for the next spot, and Sadler got it over Byron. And that is big for him. All right, let's see what else we can get here. Looks like we did get some extra entries. I might have missed. Came in a little late for me to be able to make some graphics for them, but I will see what I can do. In fact, we'll probably try to occupy a lot of the rest of our stream with driver interviews as much as we can. We've hit a lot of our talking points for the day. We've hit the news of the day, and now we're just seeing what the rest of these guys can do. Okay, let's see if we can. I think we might have a couple of opportunities here. All right, let's make a quick call. All right, and we are now joined by a driver that is not a part of the Elite Cup Series, which is going to be our first and possibly only of the stream. We're with Taylor the Pegg of Pegg Sensi Racing, number 25 in the Truck Series. Now, not too much racing has been going on down in that series, but at the moment, running 13th place in standings, what kind of success are you trying to find in your team, which has 2 cars? Obviously, the 25s are running a bit better than the 69 in the standings right now.
As of right now, I'm not so sure what kind of truck we are going to be running for the next race. But as of right now, in our last 2 races, we've been running decently well. I know my teammate hasn't. Obviously, there's room for improvement for recency, but on my end, truck has not been the greatest truck in the world, but it's definitely a truck that I, in theory, love to race in, and hopefully can keep it clean in the next couple of races and improve my spots in the standings.
And right now, the Pegg Sensi Racing is the only team that doesn't have an upper affiliate. So obviously, the teams from up in the Amateur Cup Series and the Elite Cup Series are trying to poke their head in with a couple of drivers in the Truck Series. But you guys are the only ones that are running independent. How much of a challenge is that trying to compete with those types of teams?
It's pretty difficult, especially when the teams that are above us have better equipment than us, and the more experienced drivers, because since this is both of our first years in the NFRN league, it is that we are definitely not the greatest of rookies, but we are rookies nonetheless.
All right, and to end this one off, Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series championship battle happening tomorrow night. Who do you believe will be hoisting the trophy at the end of the night?
I predict either Kyle Busch or maybe Harvick, because Kyle Busch and Harvick have won championships in the past. But I want Martin Truex Jr. to win championship because he's been so dominant this year. But I don't know how Truex is on tracks like Homestead, but I see either Kyle or Kevin getting another championship.
All right, so we got a bit of a split pick right now. We're seeing a lot of drivers choosing different a lot of our drivers picking different drivers in the Cup Series. Taylor, thank you for joining us for today's episode.
No problem.
Okay, so as we get back to green flag racing in the Xfinity Series, we got Byron running in 3rd place. He was able to pass up Elliott Sadler as he went back to green during that interview, and Allgaier currently running 8th place after that slow pit stop. Hopefully they got all the adjustments they needed as they were having a bit of a struggle this entire race, but at this point they just need to see what they can do to get back up there riding along in their helmet cam. And Allgaier's trying to catch back up here and get to the quarter panel of Tyler Reddick, who's been up front for a good portion of this race, but Cole Custer's obviously been the dominant race car and looks like he might be a definite winner here today. And just like the Truck Series, we've barely seen any accidents so far. J.J. Ailey had that cut tire, spun around in turn number 2, but that's about it. Beyond the problems with Hamrick and Bell, accidents have been very few. Man, these hiccups. Hamrick continues to run 35th, and not looking good for the number 21 team or Richard Childress Racing. The RCR team, this seems like their only bright spot of the season. I mean, you had Brandon Jones missed the playoffs by a wide margin. Brendan Gaughan just barely sneaked in and then got cut early. And you had both of those cars in the 2 and the 3. Obviously, those were occupied by Cup drivers. Not much to really necessarily attribute to those guys, but Hamrick was definitely a guy that was looking like he had the most consistency for sure, but obviously a car issue is just going to put that team out, and JRM running 3-4-5 as Allgaier just made a pass on Ryan Preece. So this is big for that team, and as I've said before, likely we're going to see one of those guys win a championship here tonight. Win one for Dale on the eve of his last race in NASCAR. But with just under 100 laps to go, it's going to be a long time until we see who's going to be the eventual victor. Excuse me, I'll do a little bit of finagling. We'll see how many other drivers we're able to chat with. And I believe I've... Oh, wouldn't it just be grand if I left the charger and I told myself not to leave at the place I just came from, right where I left it. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Okay. Well, laptop charger's not going to help me here. Fortunately, I'm not using this. I'm using a different laptop. Unless I misplaced something. But I don't think I did. Yeah, I'm looking around and I don't see it. So, yeah, I'm not going to be dealing with that laptop today. So I might need to do this by just some thought, or maybe the battery I have left in it. Maybe make it in short spurts. Just to see if we can talk to some extra drivers. See Ross Chastain running in 16th. It looks like he was going to actually have an amazing run when he ran 7th in the first round of qualifying earlier today, but I guess that speed didn't come to him in the second round because he kind of fell back, and now he's running about mid-pack, which is where a lot of these Johnny Davis Motorsports drivers will run. I also saw that Stephen Light was switched into Ryan Sieg's normal ride, and that car seems like it's either struggling or Stephen Light's just not able to wheel it, but Ryan Sieg ended up switching into the 93. Not sure what necessarily prompted that move. Casey Mears having a solid 7th place run, and obviously a bit disappointing that he was not able to have a ride in the elite. I was about to say my own league, the Monster Energy Cup Series for 2017. Found some part-time ride with the 98 car. I say part-time, it was pretty decent amount of races, but obviously you want to drive full-time if you have the opportunity, and he didn't get that for this year. And Dale is into this race, even though he knows that he's basically got this one locked in. Look, he kind of looks the opposite of calm, which is kind of what seems like it's been the theme for Junior this weekend. Just kind of trying to have as much fun as he can while he's racing for what could be his final time. Might see him make a. He did say he might make an Xfinity start a couple times in 2018. Track's unknown on that. We continue to see Byron, Sadler, and Allgaier run 3, 4, 5. And Cole Custer once again off to a big lead at the start of the stage, and that's 2.5 seconds over Sam Hornish as Custer did lead them off pit road. Seems like his car is just as much speed as it used to be in the first 2 stages. I do apologize. I have a bad tendency that when I'm pulling down the audio on the TV for interviews to be heard better, it seems that I don't actually bring it back up. So apologies for that. Hopefully you can hear that a little better now. And we'll continue working to get some additional interviews. Fortunate that one of those planned just stepped in a few laps ago. We're seeing if our last planned one will step in. Otherwise, we might try to score some additional ones. Sadler is making catch up on William Byron. It seems like this, obviously this did happen at the end of the stage last time. So it could be a matter of, does Sadler get the long run that allows him to both pass Byron and maybe pull away from him? As we're approaching 80 laps to go in this one.
And the United States Postal Service delivers more of those purchases to homes than anyone else in the country. Because we know even the smallest things are sometimes the biggest.
For $5, you can get whatever the Taco randomizer key arrowed into a box. Or you can get a real deal. Charbroiled double cheeseburger, spicy chicken sandwich, fries, drink, and a cookie. $5 all-star meals. Oh,
And this race between Sadler and Byron is heating up. Still a lot of time to go, but just based on the way that Sadler has been running, especially in these long runs, it seems like he has the advantage over Byron if this can go green for a while. And obviously, any caution is going to probably be a bit of a obstacle for Sadler, as Byron does seem like his short run speed at the very start of runs is very good, but then Sadler slowly creeps back up on him at the end of these stages, and now this one's a lot longer, so Sadler would not only need this to go green the entire way, but if there were to be a caution, he needs a lot of space between him and Byron in the form of other cars, and I'm not sure if... just not sure how that's going to turn out, just based on the fact that the... it's been pretty caution-free. I'm glad to see that I've only dropped 0.1% of my frames. The new streaming system, I guess it's been a while since I actually did a stream. Whatever this new streaming system is, it completely wrecked my how to choose streaming encoding, and that offered me some problems last night when I was trying to test whether or not I could actually do Skype call streaming. Kept telling me I was off my bitrate, and I'm glad to see that's not the case at the moment. Seems like I actually picked a good balance. I think I was at 3,000, but not that that matters right now. It's working perfectly fine. Just a random thought that I noticed as I was having this issue testing last night. Okay, so we're still battling, and now we see Hamrick is underneath Byron, but obviously not a position that matters because of Hamrick having that battery issue in Stage 2, and that has thrown him out of this race pretty much completely. Man, they just completely just... they didn't even say anything about Hamrick. All right, okay. Well, of course, while I'm taking a drink of Starbucks, Sadler makes the pass on Byron. Okay, well, you haven't noticed the hat and possibly the shirt. This is kind of exciting, but of course, Byron is now making the pass back. Honestly, we got 75 laps to go, and there's a lot of time left to see how this one pulls off. And I'm going to be honest, I'm perfectly okay with any of the junior motorsports drivers taking the victory or championship here today, and I would have been fine if Hamrick did too. I mean, like, there's not like any guys I'm not necessarily going to hate in this group of four, but obviously, when you got a fan of the one driver, you want him to win as soon as possible or multiple times. Jeez, as I'm watching Byron in third, he's 10 seconds back from Custer, as Hornish Jr. is also 6 seconds. Let's be honest, Custer, unless he blows a tire, he's won this race. Okay, so it sounds like the exit is a problem for Elliott Sadler in terms of corners. And that is the reason why he couldn't hold that spot. So the gap's kind of pulled back between Byron and Sadler. And we've got just a touch over 70 laps to go. 72 if you want to be exact. 72 like my boy John Jackson. Where to go? I don't know, honestly. Man, Byron. hopefully you can hear my TV, but man, if Sadler's getting played like that, holy cow. And that sun, I can't see anything. It's not just the drivers dealing with the sun, it's the TV crew as well. And I've been in TV, trust me, that's sun's not fun as much as it always could be. Allgaier slipped to 7th. I think I missed the radio communication, but Kreese and Mears passed him up, and it looks like he might have gotten a little scrape to the wall, possibly? Question mark? Okay, his hands are definitely... He's losing control of that car. That looked like me trying to drive a gravel road, trying to get back up to my apartment. Yeah, that was definitely me. And definitely the fuel window is definitely something to consider here. Yeah, they definitely. As far as I know, they don't have the fuel window to make it, and I think that was based on what I saw in pre-race from the broadcast. That I think it's in the 60 to 70 range, and unfortunately, that went by me before I read off the stages, so I didn't quite catch it. But I definitely think they're going to have one more stop to go, unlike the trucks, to make it to the end. So this is going to be very interesting to see if just pit strategy alone, or oof. Yikes. Who is... that's Joey Gase. It's not like I expect anything less than from Joey Gase's group. Well, let's be honest. Alright. Still trying to see if we can get any of those last-minute entries I did not see, unfortunately, but doesn't look like they're responding right now on Skype. We're trying our best. They'll have a period of about 65 laps to respond. And actually, let's make that a little shorter. Maybe more like 40 laps, because I want to actually react to the end of this one. Since we are a little bit slim on the interviews, have noticed that we haven't had any mention of Keselowski, and Brian Keselowski is one of those drivers that is a part of the Championship 4 conversation. He has 3 wins this season, which means Harvick had the least amount of the drivers in the playoffs, but his consistency has been up there a ton as of late. Keselowski, not so sure about him, though. Some have claimed him as the underdog, and certainly something that could be very possible to claim him as he did grab a victory at Talladega in the playoffs, but obviously one of those crapshoots, and definitely something that took out a lot of drivers. Obviously one of the more impressive races in terms of attrition, and he has never made the Championship 4 under this playoff system. He's been marred by several issues throughout the years, and He still had the title in 2012, which was under a different system, and had 5 wins that season. So it comes down to whether or not he is going to be able to beat guys out, and I believe he actually qualified in front of Harvick in the starting grid for tomorrow's race. Unfortunately, didn't graphic that up as it is a little bit far away, and I wanted to save that for the daily drive for tomorrow's episode. But the Fords might be coming into a little bit more speed, but obviously Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. starting second and third respectively after Denny Hamlin stole a pole from both of those guys late in the last round. I'll look up early today, sorry. He has led his Cole Custer has led as many laps today as he has in his first 37 races in this series. And obviously he made a few starts with Junior Motorsports last season. Kind of tested out their, would that have been their third or fourth team? Either way, they definitely had an extra team in Junior Motorsports last year, and that gave Custer a few opportunities to gave him a few opportunities to try to test his luck, or rather skill. And the lead, by the way, for Cole Custer has extended to 11 seconds over Sam Hornish Jr. and 17 seconds over William Byron. Byron still in third, Sadler in fourth, and Allgaier in seventh. See if William Byron is going to be able to get a championship here tonight. He would be the second youngest in the series, in between Chase Elliott as the youngest and Brian Vickers back in, I believe it was 2003, as the second youngest so far, and Byron would slip in between both of those two as a 19-year-old, 11 months. We're still trying to see if Sadler has the capabilities to make a pass on Byron. Oh, it looks like Byron actually got a little loose right there, but I guess Sadler did too, so probably just my eyes playing mind games with me there. Oof. Yikes. Michael Annett heavy on the brakes and almost hit the end of the pit road wall as he tried to come down. And definitely in practice, we saw a lot of issues with the playoff drivers trying to come down a pit road. It looked like Kyle Busch had a wheel hop as he was downshifting to get on the pit road. There's definitely some issues. There could be some issues with his transmission, but they can't change that unless they want to go to the back of the field. So I think they're going to keep that as it is. But it did sound a bit concerning, but I'm not necessarily going to speculate as I'm not an engineer. I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about when things go down. And Elliott Sadler, Byron down at the same time. And Allgaier came in a lap before them. And he pitted from 7th place. It is 4 tires for Sadler. Yeah, it looked like he was going to get a wedge adjustment as well. 4 tires for Sadler, and Byron, I would assume he's going to take the same strategy. Just a matter of how fast they're going to do it. Oh, Sadler's going to beat him off pit road. Woof. Sadler had the faster stop, and it looks like the guy turning the wedge had a bit of trouble. The tire, I would say the tire carrier had a big issue trying to change that. Oh man, geez, they almost came right up on Ryan Preece. Man, oh man, this is exciting. Now we're hitting about 50 laps to go. Custer's on pit road now, and Gone and Chastain get into those next spots. Gaughan's gone down the pit road. Chastain seems like he's still out there while he still hasn't passed up Cole Custer, and now he's down as well. And now J.J. Yaley into 3rd place. So now it's Byron chasing Sadler, and the graphic says they run 6th and 7th. I don't think that's going to be the case come a few seconds. And Byron closing the gap as Sadler's trying to get around Mears, who looks like he got in front of both of those guys. Oh, jeez, and wow. He split him. Jeez, this is getting exciting. And man, the 9 car is wheeling that thing. This is an exciting race right now, folks. Neely's going to give him the space, so now it's Preece up to 3rd. And now Byron's in 4th and Sadler in 5th. And Sadler's got a car in front of him. I think that's Gase, possibly. But, man, they're still... And Sadler was really the benefactor on entering pit lane. Oh, man, and we're down to 50 to go. Allgaier is still in 8th place, so it looks like his attempt to win this one is going to be quite a big challenge for him, but he's certainly in more contention spot than Hamrick is, and he's still in 34th place. Sorry, where did they put that computer? There it is. All right. So a lot of action happening late in this Xfinity Championship. Now, I believe we have another driver lined up. We'll have him on in a few moments.
commercial vehicle season. Get these great savings on a 2017 Ford Transit cargo van. The original Sonic cheeseburger and onion rings for $2.99. The last time we ate this good for $2.99, we were in college.
No, I was in college. You were in denial. Huh? Good school.
Now you can pair a cheeseburger or foot-long pony with onion rings for $2.99. This is how you Sonic. Black Friday savings start early at Ace.
Save up to 50% on great gifts.
And up to 50% on Christmas lights.
Plus, get great savings on hundreds of items throughout the store.
Black Friday savings start now. Ace is the best for hardware.
Access. No access. Total access. Catch? There's no catch. You want total 5-night-a-week, 32 NFL team insider access? Watch NFL Total Access. Weeknights live on NFL.
Nice. Good stuff. Here's a house. Check this out. Whoa. King's Hawaiian Foods. Irresistible since 1950. What am I supposed to do? Make this quick. It is island season in the golden age of diversity. You have a superpower. You're Black Man. That's something you can understand. Call me back showtime. Call 855-617-5725.
All right. Went a little bit silent right there. While we are on commercial break, and the sun just took a nice little set behind the Miami area. And we're still looking at where the championship drivers are running. At the moment, it seems like Byron has the advantage. And he's got Sadler right on his bumper right again. Things that happen while you're on break. But still 43 laps to go. We'll see how he's able to charge back on him. Now Sadler going to the bottom, trying to make the move. Now Sadler's been complaining about exiting the corner, and he's not able to make the move here. Still plenty of time, and not sure if Byron was playing mind games on him the first time, but obviously if he was, then it's going to be interesting for Sadler. But if it was just a case of Sadler's having a bad handling race car, then hopefully they got that fixed while they were on that pit stop. Where Sadler got out in front, but Byron quickly overtook him once again. Sadler's looking for anything, and now the lap traffic is just going to be a big factor in how this thing goes and finishes up. They were able to get past the 90, fortunately. And Sadler, but this is definitely the thing you got to watch here tonight. They're not leaving anything out on the racetrack. If anything, regardless of if we ever see any accidents take place here tonight, the race of the championship has definitely been an exciting one between a rookie and a veteran. Yeah, it's hard to tell what groove is actually working. It seems like it's just a matter of what the car wants. Sadler going with a lower groove right here, and they got a caught up on Garrett Smithley, and he's got the side-by-side. Or sorry, that's Joe Nemechek they're catching up to. They're all similar cars. And Sadler he's right there. Oh! Oh my God! Oh man! That's ridiculous! I'm losing my mind right now. Oh, screw objectivity. Wow! Jesus! Okay. I think I'm cutting out. My computer's working so hard right now, and now I'm just losing everybody. Oh God. This is ridiculous. Oh my God. I can't handle this, honestly. I can't handle this. Come on, get him now this time. Oh, this is so intense. We're down to 36 laps to go, and this is the time to make something happen. And oh, he got the drag on him. Come on, clear him, and get the exit. Yes, come on. Oh my God. I do apologize. I'm trying to get one more person on for an interview. At some point, I do need to just cut everything completely and focus on the race, but I am trying to see if I can add this one more person, and unfortunately, this graphic I'm trying to build for them is taking forever, and I'm just trying to hope that it goes faster, to be honest. Hopefully I'm not... I feel at the same time, I think my video stream is also cutting out, even though the OBS is telling me otherwise. It's telling me I'm not dropping frames, but based on how my computer's speed is running, it definitely seems like I am. Oh, jeez. I cannot settle right now just because of the fact that both of these drivers have just been absolutely insane this entire time. He's got Sal's got the gap on him now, and oh my God, Priest, who's in third, which is in front of Sadler, is 23 seconds back from Cole Custer and winning this race, and that is ridiculous. If anything else. Come on, David Starr, just kind of give Byron a little I don't even know, just don't let him win. Let Sadler win. Okay, I believe hopefully my video stream is going to start working again. All right. Let's see if we can get this one last interview in. Okay. Here we go. And we are joined now late in this race by Rambo, the driver number 4 in the Elite Cup Series. And Rambo, are you watching the end of this Xfinity race as it's progressing right now?
Yes, this is a very exciting race.
And we are talking with the NFRN drivers about their performances in the season so far. And obviously, the number 4 team has not had the best of starts. What do you think has been the problem so far for your car?
It's just been very hard at some of the tracks. Just maybe had very difficult time with the other cars who have had very good advantages than I have.
Yeah, it seems like the 28th place finish at Mirage was your best finish, and obviously the super speedways have been difficult for everyone, but both tracks that you've had crashes at, do you feel like you're going to have better advantages when we get to a stretch of races that doesn't include super speedways, unlike what we'll have next week at Riki Raceway?
Yeah, that's where my car's the strongest at.
All right. And finally, we're asking anybody who joins us today, who do you believe will be the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion tomorrow night?
I mostly think Martrez Jr. has a really good shot.
All right. And we will be heading into the final 25 lap stretch of this race. Rambo, thank you for joining us on the stream tonight.
Thank you.
All right. And now we see William Byron's trying to make a move on Elliott Sadler for the finals, for the top spot in the championship. Cole Custer has now lapped Justin Allgaier. If there were to be a caution, Allgaier would get that free pass right now, but we haven't seen a caution for pretty much the entire race beyond J.J. Yaley spinning in turn 2, which is very similar to what we saw in the Truck Series, but obviously that race had no caution. So this could be a race of races, and it's going to be extremely exciting to see how this one turns out. Byron is running that high line, and he's wiggling like crazy. Cannot believe he's not touching the wall right now, and I feel like I almost just saw Sadler almost get up there into it, though I don't think he did. But God, that gave me a heart attack. I honestly think that Byron is running a better line right now. And somehow Sadler is just managing to keep his car off the wall every time he goes down to that low line. Which is not necessarily the lowest. It's more in the middle, but Byron is trying to take advantage. But obviously, yeah, as the TV just mentioned, I think the traffic is going to play a big factor right here. And, man, this is... Sadler chose the low line, and Byron chose the top, and everyone gave him the room, but just barely. And now Allgaier back in 11th place. He is not the first car lap down, so this could realistically come down to Byron versus Sadler. And I guarantee you, if Sadler wins this race, I'm tearing down that flag that I have taped up by just standard tape, Scotch tape. It's coming down. I guarantee you that. And I'm going to wave that thing. I was gonna say some swear word, but you know what? I'm gonna save that and make it a PJ stream. Also, I'm now having trouble I can't click on my OBS anymore, so that's concerning. Okay, well, hopefully obviously you can still see my face, so hopefully I'm good for the rest of the stream, because I don't know if I can actually stop this thing now. I could stop it on YouTube, but if I can't switch anything. I can't switch any scenes. I can't interview any drivers anymore. And I don't want to because there's 20 laps to go here, and Sadler's in the lead of championship drivers. So, yeah, we're going to stick with this for now. Whatever gap was closed has been extended, but I'm still not confident with 20 laps to go. Oh, you know what? Can we not do side by side? Because I can't deal with like this pressure. Oh, we're gonna do side by side. Okay, you're gonna make me suffer through this. Oh, geez. I need a drink. I'm not sponsored by Starbucks, but venti peppermint frappuccino for the win. Oh, that clears up my anxiety a little bit. Okay, I'll tell you what this problem with OBS is. I can't actually see where I am on the screen until like 30 seconds later because I'm only looking at myself on the actual stream. Like literally, where is this window at? Let me just close stuff. I honestly don't know where the stream went. I don't see it anymore. I'm just like, I'm in a blank window. The window does not exist. This desktop? Okay. Yeah, I just flat out don't have OBS anymore. That's cool. Yeah, don't need that. Let's close all this crap I don't need. Don't need that. Don't need that. That works. Don't need Discord right now. And done with graphics. Cool. We're just gonna work with that because I can't see myself anymore. Hopefully, I'm still heard. Oh, yep. Saw that. I'm paying attention to my stream more than I'm paying attention to the race, which is clearly being led by the best driver. I just swear to God, if you bring out a caution, although to be fair, there wouldn't be much competition at that point. Do I have my... Yes, I do. Sorry, I feel like I need to, I feel like I need to set something up real quick. There's my tripod. I can find my camera, but I can't find that giant freaking check that I should have really cashed like a month ago and could really use at this point in time, thanks to hard drive. Oh. Okay, I don't know how to... Oh, of course, it has no battery. Because none of my cameras have batteries. Where's the charger? I just need a... Yeah. Okay, we're going to charge that for a hot minute. Might come in handy for a few hot seconds. Okay, we're good. We're good. Just don't kill yourself. Okay, maybe kill yourself a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, let's not... Oh my god! What the frick? Where the heck did that speed come from? Okay. Jeez. I don't even know. I'm not. I probably not. I don't even know if I'm live anymore. At least what I'm watching. Okay, but yeah, that's concerning. Ah, oh my God, Sadler! Don't kill yourself. Break, break, break! Break, 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 break! Come on. Get inside him! Get inside him! Please give him the room! Oh my god! Break! Break, break, break! Oh my god! Mic check. Okay, okay. Screw the... I don't know if this is die or what. Forget it. Where is... I don't even know where my stream is. Come on! Oh my god. Oh my god! Christ! That man's going to bed. You can't even see me in bed.